My name is Boosted John, and I'm going to be taking this 1993 Honda Civic EG hatchback to a track weekend called Honda Meet in under 2 weeks. This car was just set up to be a turbo drag car making over 550 wheel horsepower, and it ran a 1071 at 123 miles per hour. Now that I've reached the goal of breaking into the 10s with this stock GSR, I'm putting it back to NA to take it to this track weekend. In the last video, I shared with you guys the enormous list of tasks that I have to do to convert this car from a turbo drag car to an NA track car. In today's video, we're gonna be tackling the thing that I'm probably the most excited about, and that is the exhaust setup. Now, I have a standard vibrant header for a B series that I could just slap on there, but instead, I thought, let's do something a little bit more out of the box and something that kind of fits the Boosted John brand a little bit better. So today, we are making the rice pipe. A couple months ago, after I crashed this car and I was working on putting it all back together, I bought my first welder. Now, it's not my fault that they sold me a welder, so you can't blame me for the things that I create with it. My first idea is to use the turbo manifold as an NA header. So problem number one to solve is, how do I attach an exhaust pipe to the turbo manifold? Well, I don't want to weld straight to it, so I went on eBay and found a T3 to 3-inch flange that I could start welding an exhaust to. Since the setup is already going to be pretty restrictive, I decided to port match the flange and the gasket to the turbo manifold outlet. That way we at least get maximum potential flow for this setup. I lined the gasket up on the flange and used a paint marker to trace all the material of the flange that I was going to have to remove to make the opening the exact same size as the gasket, which I've already grinded open to the size of the manifold. Using the tools I had, this process took me about 2.5 to 3 hours. This sucks. I've officially port matched the flange to the gasket, which is matched to the manifold. Pretty much perfect. So we should have no restriction of flow from the turbo manifold into the exhaust pipe. So the flange and gasket are all ready to go. I'm ready to start making the exhaust, but I don't have any 3-inch piping. So I placed an order for a 10-foot stick of 3-inch exhaust piping. And while we wait for it to come in, I'm gonna make a super clean and super simple and super cheap intake for this car out of some intercooler piping and a cone filter that I got from my friend Mark over at Valix Racing. Alright, that's looking pretty clean, and just in time too, because the exhaust piping just came in. Welding with my eyes closed because I don't have a welding mask. That one seems to have held. So we got 2 tacks on her. Hey, not bad. That ain't half bad, boys. Dude, I am a certified muffler shop worker. I'm laying absolute dimes right now. Dude, Boosted John's friggin' fab shop up in here. And it warped, huh? Oh, there we go. Oh, snap, dude. Oh, dude, it's gonna be so epic, dude. It's so dumb. That's a good start, but now I need to make a 90-degree bend to come out the bumper where the turbo exhaust used to come out. The only thing is, I'm doing this job in the garage here and not at Rudd's Racing, so I no longer have access to a bandsaw. So I have to make all the pie cuts with an angle grinder. Dude, for doing that with an angle grinder, that is not half bad. Oh, you know what? It's actually not that bad when I hold it right. It's actually, dude, it's pretty dang good. Oh man, this is so goofy. Made a couple of these babies. Let's go see if we can make a bend with them. We're close. I might need like one more. This is gonna be such an ugly exhaust, but pretty close here. Yay, good pass. I'm so excited because now I'm finally starting to see this exhaust come together, and I can kind of get a good visual for what this thing is going to look like when it's installed in the car. And not to mention, I'm starting to get a good auditory visualization, if you will, for how loud this thing is going to be once it is in the car. As soon as I tried to attach the pipe that went under the frame rail, I realized that it was going to hit the frame rail. So therefore, I had to make one more pie cut that you just saw me do to bring the bend a little bit lower so that way the long pipe could clear under the frame rail. Now that most of the exhaust is tacked together, I can finally do the part that I've been looking forward to the most, and that is the upturned blast pipe Bozu-Zoku style exhaust tip. I love like the Bozu-Zoku style blast pipes on cars. The Ricer side of me is coming out a little bit when it comes to the Bozu-Zoku tips, but I feel like on the turbo exhaust setup, I didn't really get enough length out of the pipe. It just stuck out of the bumper a little bit, but I really like when it sticks out kind of aggressively. So this time around, I am not gonna mess that up, and I'm gonna make sure that this pipe is plenty long enough so that even if I have to cut it down a little bit to get it to the right length, I'm leaving a bunch of extra pipe on it. So I obviously have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to welding, and I also don't have a proper welding mask. So I'm welding this whole thing with one hand while holding the welding mask in front of my face. Now that everything is tacked up, I have to just sit there and just weld, booger, blast this thing together. All right, I finished fabricating the exhaust, except there's one problem. Obviously the welds are nasty. I made these pie cuts with an angle grinder, as you saw. I suck at welding, no excuses. This section of the exhaust is too long, so the exhaust sticks out too far and it hits the bumper. So I'm gonna just take out like maybe an inch or two from this section of the pipe and then just weld it back together. And then the exhaust is done. Ugliest thing ever fabricated by anyone in the history of the world, but it will direct exhaust out of my engine bay. That's a win. I am not a welder. I suck at welding. It's also like 85 degrees in this garage, so I ended up getting extremely sunburned because I was welding the whole exhaust up while wearing a wife beater because I was sweating so much. The whole pipe is welded up and I finally got the first test fit, but there are two things that I need to change about this exhaust setup before I can actually run it in the car. Thing number one is that I need a place to screw in an O2 sensor for my wideband. I got an O2 spacer or O2 defouler from Mark over at Valix Racing. I chopped it in half, I welded that straight to the pipe, screwed in my O2 sensor, and we are good to go. The last thing is not necessary, but I think that this setup needs it for that aggressive Bozu-Zoku look. See, after seeing the first test fit with just the single tip, there was just too much space in the bumper cutout and it looked weird. There was more than enough space there to fit another exhaust tip, so that is exactly what I did. Dude, it's so dumb. It's so dumb, but I love it. The rice pipe, dude. I present to you all the rice pipe. So the exhaust is on the car and the car is ready to start up and I just want to hear it so bad. But the problem is I'm going to be running this car on 93 instead of E85 like I've been doing. The car currently has 1750cc injectors and that is way overkill for an NA GSR. B18C 240cc. Open this calibration, upload it to the car, cycle the key, give it a shot, I think. So I stole the injectors out of the intake manifold that actually came on this GSR when I bought it. I installed them in this rail, converted the injector clips over to OBD1 injector clips, loaded a base mat from Mikey Spec. Now the car is finally ready to fire it up and hear the blast pipe for the first time. Dude, the rice pipe, bro, the rice pipe. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear it on track. With that said, I present to you the rice pipe. Oh, I'm so excited to hear it. Here we go. Oh my God, dude, it is so loud. Dude, it is so obnoxiously loud. Holy shit. That is pretty bonkers, boys. That is pretty bonkers. In the next episode, the EG is getting a big brake upgrade, a new transmission, and some brand new coilovers that are more oriented for road course instead of the drag coilovers that are currently on it. The big brake upgrade, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, is very cool. Something that when I found out about, I didn't even believe that it was real. So I ordered all the parts to just find out myself and it worked. So don't sleep on that subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the next big brake upgrade video. And lastly, consider checking out the link down below to www.earneverything.shop to check out the new merch, the new hoodies, the new t-shirts. Support the hustle. We deserve nothing, earn everything.